In its purest form, Kyle Shanahan's offense is extinct. Shanahan doesn't use it anymore. He has evolved past the basic structure of the system he inherited from his father, Mike Shanahan. Mike Shanahan's system was a run-first offense that featured zone blocking. It was a simple, pared down running game, and it had a philosophy. Use the same plays over and over and master them. This scheme worked for Mike Shanahan. He won 2 Super Bowls as head coach of the Broncos in the 90s. It worked for Kyle when he was the offensive coordinator of the Texans, the Redskins, and the Falcons. And it worked for Sean McVay, who coached under both Shanahans. Worked for McVay from 2017 to 2018 on the Rams. In 2018, McVay's version of the Mike Shanahan zone blocking running attack propelled the Rams all the way to the Super Bowl. Didn't matter who their running back was, Todd Gurley, C.J. Anderson, the Rams could run on anybody. They rushed for more than 2,000 yards, third best in the league, and they seemed unstoppable just with a simple running game until they went up against the Patriots and Bill Belichick. And Bill Belichick showed the entire league how to shut down a simple, pared down zone running game. McVay did not adapt in 2019. The rest of the league studied what Bill Belichick did. McVay apparently didn't. He came back in 2019 with the same run game, and what ranked third in 2018 ranked 26th in 2019. His run game fell apart. The Rams' offense basically became the dodo bird of the NFL. Shanahan adapted. He must be a big Charles Darwin fan. Did he adapt his offense because he saw what Bill Belichick did and understood where the league was going? Or did he adapt his offense out of necessity based on the personnel he had on his team? His quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, was coming off a torn ACL. Hadn't played in a year and lacked experience. And his starting wide receivers in training camp, Marquise Goodwin and Dante Pettis, struggled big time. The Niners eventually benched both of them. So in training camp, when Shanahan was looking at what he had, he must have come to the conclusion that he needed to lean on his run game more than years past. And if he figured that out, then he must have also understood that he couldn't lean on his run game the way he needed to with just a few zone blocking run plays. He was going to need much more volume and diversity. So he and his run game coordinator, Mike McDaniel, who is a future offensive coordinator, if not head coach in the NFL, get to know Mike McDaniel, came up with the most diverse and voluminous run game in the NFC by far. I mean, all of a sudden the Niners are running powers, whams, counters, traps, little trick plays you only see the Naval Academy run. And on top of all that, the classic zone, inside zone, outside zone that his father ran. All of a sudden, the Niners offense looked like 3-card Monty. You could call it 11-card Monty. It was hard to tell who was going to get the ball. You had wide receivers playing running back playing wide receiver, and the rest of the league just didn't know what to make of it. The Niners pretty much ran their way to the Super Bowl. In the NFC Championship, they ran for 285 yards. How is Kyle Shanahan going to stay one step ahead? Because Charles Darwin is coming for him too. Just like Sean McVay in 2018, Shanahan's run game took him all the way to the Super Bowl, and then he lost. And now the entire league is going to do their homework, and that is study Kyle Shanahan's run game and find some way to slow it down a little bit. Shanahan knows that. Next year, every single team will have studied his diverse running game for months and have some type of a strategy to slow it down. So how is he going to stay one step ahead like he did last season? Well, it's simple. Any defense that sells out to stop the run leaves itself extremely vulnerable to the play action pass over the top. Last season, Shanahan called fewer deep passes than any play caller in the league for a few reasons. One, his run game was so good, he didn't need to pass that much. And two, Jimmy Garoppolo just didn't seem that comfortable throwing deep. It's never been the biggest strength of his game. And last year in particular, it seemed when it was time to throw deep, he didn't really get enough hip torque into his throws. Didn't rotate his hips enough or violently, which is what you really need to do when throwing deep. He was much better on the short stuff, the quick snap throws. And maybe that was because he was favoring a surgically repaired knee. Who knows? Shanahan knows that with opposing defenses selling out to stop the run, he's going to need to throw deep next year. And that means expect Jimmy Garoppolo to practice his deep throws all offseason. And expect him to connect on long throws with George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and Brandon Ayuk next year. You can see the Niners are starting to shift their philosophy on offense. They spent a first-round pick this year on a wide receiver, Brandon Ayuk. It's the first time a Shanahan, Mike or Kyle, father or son, has drafted a wide receiver in round 1 since 2002 when Mike took Ashley Lilly. Shanahan knows what's coming. He knows what his offense will face in 2020. So expect the NFC's best rushing attack to evolve into the league's best play-action passing game. Natural selection will force the change, and the fittest always survive.